What's happening, guys and girls? Acrinator here, and welcome to another episode of World of Warcraft Dungeon Overview. Last episode we jumped forward in time, and today we'll be continuing our time travel antics by going back in time 10,000 years to the War of the Ancients in search of aid against the Black Dragon aspect. I'll be guiding you through this dungeon with my druid you see here, so with that being said, let's dive straight into it. I'm not gonna go over all the lore that this war has to offer. You can read the War of the Ancients trilogy if you want that, but I can tell you that it is widely regarded as one of the most important moments in Azeroth's history. After a long and arduous war, every single faction that had something to gain by fighting began to converge on the Well of Eternity, a massive font of power from which the Night Elves originally drew their power from, not unlike the Blood Elves and their Sunwell. Just to name a few of the powers that took part in this battle, you had the Night Elves led by Malfurion, Tyrande, and Illidan, the Burning Legion led by Sargeras, Queen Azshara and her Highborn, Deathwing and his Black Dragonflight, the other Dragonflights, the Twisted Satyrs led by Xavius, and the Old Gods trying to corrupt anything and everything within their reach. While we will have to fight off some demons of the past, literally, our primary objective here is to seize the artifact known as the Dragon Soul, also known as the Demon Soul. With the power of this golden disc, we just might have a chance in fighting off Deathwing from our timeline, thus saving the entire world. The Well of Eternity is a level 85 heroic dungeon located within the Caverns of Time dungeon hub in the eastern portion of Tanaris. Just like last episode, I'll assume you know how to get to the dungeon hub by this point, in which case the entrance to the specific portal you're looking for is going to be directly in front of when you enter the main concourse. Conversely, you can also count out the third portal from the left. They're one and the same. Many of you likely know Xavius as the first of the Vicious Satyr, as he was the final boss of the Emerald Nightmare raid during Legion. However, unless you've read the Warcraft novels, it's unlikely that you'll ever have heard of Paratharn. This cursed being was once one of Azshara's Highborn, and a gifted sorcerer who helped his queen subjugate those she saw as lesser beings. Upon Xavius's rebirth at the hands of the Dark Titan Sargeras, Xavius began to offer the same gift he had received to his former peers, some of which accepted. Paratharn became the second satyr and was made an example of what power one could obtain by siding with the Burning Legion. In order to unlock this fight, you'll need to do a little side quest first. Illidan Stormage will appear to you as you walk towards the palace's courtyard. Just follow his instructions to destroy the portals and the boss will appear in due time. Once the fight itself breaks out, there's quite a few mechanics you'll need to be on the lookout for. The simplest of them is called Fell Flames, where a circle of fire spawns around a random player. Just move away quickly and you shouldn't take too much damage. The healer is also going to want to look out for a curse called Fell Decay, which slowly damages players over time, but also causes the caster of any healing spell to take 100% of the amount healed to these players as damage. It'll require some quick decision making or an immunity effect like Power Word Shield to deal with this debuff appropriately. At 60% health, Paratharn will stun everyone and drain them to about half health. Illidan will then stun the boss and help to continue the fight. From there, you'll be given a small speed boost and the boss will spawn out dozens of green eyeballs to search you out. If anyone is caught by these eyes, they'll be stunned and greatly damaged by the boss. If you can all manage to avoid detection for 40 seconds, the boss will take extra damage for a short while. Though I wouldn't necessarily pop all of my cooldowns here because the boss permanently enrages at 20% health, so you'll want his health bar to go down quickly from that point on. Before she was Queen of the Naga, Azshara was Queen of all Night Elves and was beloved by her subjects. Upon the discovery of the Dark Titan Sargeras, Azshara became infatuated with the power he held. She dreamt of a world purged of all imperfections with a cleansing green fire, and a new, flawless domain rising in her image. Whether she's mad or brilliant is a discussion for another time. Right now, we must do the unthinkable and confront Azshara. To be entirely honest, I'm not sure why Azshara is listed as the boss for this encounter. She doesn't really do much fighting. Instead, you'll be facing off against several of her magisters. There'll be 2 of each specialization for mages, but none of them are really important in the long run. Just tank and spank them down like they were regular trash mobs with larger health bars. The main thing you'll want to look out for is an interruptible spell Azshara will cast on occasion called Total Obedience, which will charm a random player in your group for 20 seconds. This is obviously a really long time to deal with, especially when it's your healer or tank that's been charmed, so be sure to interrupt this if absolutely nothing else. These two commanders were in charge of the front lines in Azshara's war on the world. Varothen originally took up charge as the captain of the Queen's personal guard, while Manaroth is a pit lord and the second commanding demon officer to be sent through to Azeroth. While Archimonde headed up the forces against the invaders led by Jared Shadowsong, these two were left to defend Azshara's palace. Varothen, while not half as cunning as Xavius was, makes up for it in his unbridled loyalty to Azshara. With the Satyr Lord now out of the picture, the captain now sees this as his best chance to impress the Queen and possibly earn her affection. Manaroth, on the other hand, is an impossibly strong demon who is personally sent by Sargeras himself to bolster their foothold on Azeroth and ensure that the Highborn Magi were performing to the absolute best of their abilities, and then some. After the Azshara fight, just hop onto one of the dragons that'll meet you up at the balcony, and then fight off the demons standing in your way alongside Tyrande once you're back on the ground. There are a few ways to go about this fight, though the more roundabout way is considerably less risky and is the actual intended way to complete the fight. If your entire group is geared out of their minds, then feel free to take down Manaroth and ignore everything else. However, the order that you're supposed to deal with this is the adds, then Varothen, then Manaroth at the very end. There's a lot of mechanics in this fight, but they boil down to relatively simple concepts like stay out of the rain of fire and prioritize the adds whenever they spawn in. You're simply not going to be able to burst down the bosses fast enough to have the luxury of ignoring the adds 90% of the time. The one major thing that's worth mentioning is that after you defeat Varothen, you can pick up his sword and throw it at Manaroth for increased damage. It's a very minor effect, but it's definitely worth it in this case. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more like it, maybe even subscribe. Links to my social media and whatnot are in the description below, and as for the comment question, I plan on making a video discussing my take on this matter someday in the near future, but I want to know how powerful you think Azshara really is. In the novels, Manaroth thinks to himself that she could be as strong as Archimonde, and Archimonde himself tends to be leery of her true power, so where do you think she stands on Warcraft's power totem pole? Anyways, that's all the time I've got for today, so until next time, don't die.